Welcome to video lesson 8.4, extension, on graphing equations in the form of y equals a x minus h squared plus k. So we're going to look at how we can graph functions in this form. Okay. Now, this is called the vertex form of a quadratic function, okay? And a just can't be equal to 0, right? The vertex of the parabola then is HK, okay, so that's the vertex. And when we're graphing this, if h is greater than 0, okay, then the graph is a horizontal translation, h units to the right of the graph of y equals x squared. Okay, so that's when h is greater than 0, it's going h units to the right. And when h is less than 0, it's a horizontal translation, h units to the left. So you can see in red is when it's greater than 0. It's just shifting from y equals x squared to the right. And when it's less than 0, it's shifting to the left, the green little graph there. All right, our first example is to graph y equals x minus 4 squared, and we're going to compare it to the graph of y equals x squared. So our first step here is to make a table of values. We're just doing the even numbers here. When x is 0, okay, then that's negative 4 squared, which is just 16. 2 minus 4 is negative 2. Negative 2 squared is 4. 4 minus 4 is 0. 0 squared is 0. 6 minus 4 is 2. 2 squared is 4. And 8 minus 4 is 4. 4 squared is 16. Okay. Now we're going to plot these ordered pairs. Okay. I'm going to go up by 2's. Okay, that way I can graph this easier. So 0, 16, 2, 4, and I'll just go up by 2's here as well. 2, 4, 4, 0, 6, 4, and 8, 16. Okay, and the original graph of y equals x squared, okay, would be right here. Okay, and then again at 4, 16. Okay, so we can see that what happens here, okay, is the graph just, I mean, it looks like I made this black one a little bit wider, but it shouldn't be, okay? So we can see that what happened is it's just a translation 4 units to the right. Okay. So translation of 4 units right of y equals x squared. Okay. And that works because our h value was greater, okay, than 0, so it was going to the right. Alright, now we're going to graph y equals x plus 5 squared minus 1. Okay, and we're going to compare this graph to the graph of y equals x squared. So again, we want to make a table of values first, an xy table. Okay, some values to pick here, negative 7, negative 6, negative 5, negative 4, and negative 3. Okay. And then when I evaluate them, okay, negative 7 plus 5 is negative 2. Negative 2 squared is 4. 4 minus 1 is 3. Negative 6 plus 5 is negative 1. Negative 1 squared is 1, and 1 minus 1 is 0. Negative 5 plus 5 is 0. 0 squared is 0, and 0 minus 1 is negative 1. Negative 4 plus 5 is 1. 1 squared is 1, and 1 minus 1 is 0. And then negative 3 plus 5 is 2. 2 squared is 4, and 4 minus 1 is 3. Okay. So we want to try to find the y or the x values that'll make this nice pattern here. Okay. We know from this that the Vertex basically is -5, -1, okay, because of that form. Alright, so that's how we know that. Alright, because this h value is -5 and the k value is -1. So we know that that was the vertex. And that's how we can kind of pick out these points as well. Okay, so -7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 3, 1, 2, 3. -6, 0. -5, -1 are vertex. And then we can get these points as well. Okay, and -3, 3. So it's easiest to just almost find your vertex, and then you'd have to use an XY table to find another point on the line close to the vertex. But knowing your vertex is a good starting point. I didn't show that to you the last time, but that's a good way to start. Okay, with your vertex. Now comparing this, okay, now our h value was less than 0 because it was -5. So we translated 5 units to the left, and we also shifted 1 unit down. So we translated 5 units left and 1 unit down from the graph of y equals x squared. Okay, if that would have been a +1 at the end, then we would have translated 1 unit up. Okay. All right, now we're going to graph y equals -2 times x plus 2 squared plus 3. Okay. Now, using this, okay, the vertex should be -2, 3. Okay, that should be our vertex. Right? Doesn't necessarily matter the 2, that just makes our graph either wider or narrower, remember? So we're going to make our table of values again, and we know that we want one of them to be when x is -2 as kind of our vertex or center point. So let's do -3, -4, -1, and 0. Right? And we know it should be 3, but we'll kind of see here when we evaluate it. -4 plus 2 is -2. -2 squared is 4. 4 times -2 is -8. And -8 plus 3 is -5. -3 plus 2 is -1. -1 squared is 1. -2 times 1 is -2. -2 plus 1 is 1. Okay, well next -2. That's 0. 0 squared is 0. 0 times -2 is 0. And 0 plus 3 is 3. Okay, so that was correct as the vertex. -1 plus 2 is 1. 1 squared is 1. 1 times -2 is -2. And -2 plus 3 is 1. And without evaluating when x is 0, we should get a 3 here. Okay, actually 0 plus 2 is 2, so we should get -5 is what I meant to say here. Okay, so -2 plus 2, or sorry, 0 plus 2 is 2. 2 squared is 4. 4 times -2 is -8. And -8 plus 3 is -5 again. All right. Now we can graph this. -4, 1, 2, 3, 4. -5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And -3, 1. -2, 1, 2, 3. -1, 1. And 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oops, I counted 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Not enough. Okay. The nice thing about parabolas is they always should be symmetrical on both sides, so it's easy to tell when you've made a mistake. All right. Now comparing this graph, all right, this graph opens down. Okay. It is narrower. Okay. And the vertex is a translation of 2 units left and 3 units from the graph of y equals x squared. Okay, so a lot of differences in this case. Okay, the downward because of the -2, okay, and since it's being multiplied by -2, that makes it narrower. If it would be, less than 0, like a fraction, then it would have made it wider than the graph of y equals x squared. And then with the vertex being 2 to the left and 3 units up. Okay. All right, and then you have 4 practice problems. You're going to graph them and compare them to the graph of y equals x squared. Remember that your good starting point for points in your xy table, the graph, would be the vertex, which is the hk. Okay, and in this case, the h would be -3 for 1, and the k would be 0 because it doesn't say anything. So that vertex would be -3, 0 for number 1. All right, good luck. Please write down any questions you have, and be sure to ask them during class tomorrow. Have a great day.